all.
Yeah, I recently got the Rode Podcaster Pro, and that's actually probably my favorite device so far because trying to use the club deck or whatever other microphones, cutting in and out. So that's the direction that I've gone, and I use a condenser mic with it, but not currently on it right now. Just, but yeah.
Uh, yeah, the thing is, what I use for the thing I do, I use a Scarlett Focusrite sound card together with a Rode N1A microphone, also XLR. But since I don't run club deck right now, so now I'm on my phone. But we are on top of the hour. Where is the air horn?
Okay, hold on one second. I just got to open my Twitter account and then post the live stream to the top of the Tech News Twitter account, just like this. There it goes. There it is. Okay. So welcome back, everybody. Happy Friday. And as
Happy
Johan said,
Friday.
we got to do this. I'm ready. If you're ready, I was born
Yes.
ready. Let's do it. Here we go. So the top story today is that Rode makes a microphone for $400 that you really shouldn't buy. That's the top story.
Okay, I can't pin it on top,
Yeah, you
unfortunately.
can't pin that one, but that's just take my word for it. We've done a very scientific study, and it turns out you're better off using that money elsewhere. So the top story, the second top story, is from Vice, which means it's probably a bunch of lies. But anyways, the headline says Google.
Tyler, I need the green bean.
Okay, hold on. There you go. Okay. Then the story from Vice says that Google researchers found a watering hole attack in August exploiting a Mac OS 0-day targeting very specific people. They were targeting Hong Kong pro-democracy protesters. So clearly Canada is up to no good yet again. Our friendly neighbors to the north somehow uh, did a watering hole attack in August against Mac OS. That means Mac laptops. 0-day, meaning that people don't know it's on their machines, targeting Hong Kong pro-democracy movement. And what they did was they managed to get into the websites belonging to the Hong Kong pro-democracy protesters, the organizers who were building those websites, and they added a little bit of malware virus into the pro-democracy websites so that anyone who went to those websites, their machines get a nice little surprise. Which
Their Rode
enabled,
mics won't work anymore.
yeah. And just for what it's worth, Johan might remember, somebody in the audience might remember, certainly my friend Sarah from Sweden will definitely remember, as will Annika, if she's in the room, that at my last big annual event, one of my very special guests was the main organizer of the Hong Kong pro-democracy protests. And the Chinese ambassador wrote me very angry letters and insisted that he would retaliate, blah, 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 blah. And then secretly, some key people from Sweden met me in person to tell me that I had their blessing to go ahead with the special guests. But anyways, it's crazy to think that those folks had their website penetrated and a virus was installed. They kind of penetrated them and gave them herpes at the same time, or gonorrhea
This
on their
this
website.
isn't new. I mean, it happens to Palestinians frequently. It happened to Free Tibet activists many years ago.
Yeah, but usually I think Hong Kong was protected legislatively. So now the training wheels are off and all bets are off, and so I think it's really a sad day for any sort of democratic movement.
And what else can I say? Yeah, that's the top story. And then there's somebody on Twitter. Well, it was Google who's reporting this. Google researchers found this, and Google researchers are reporting this. But when you read the words, the statement from the Google researchers, they say it's a state-backed organization, which, kind of makes it really curious who might be behind this. Because like I was saying, I thought Starbucks might be behind this, or heaven forbid, Subway sandwiches might be hacking the Hong Kong protesters. But these Google researchers are saying it's a state-backed organization, which really narrows it down. There's only 200 countries, and we're really trying to ask everybody we might know who might have an idea of who's doing this. And so one person on Twitter named Wang Maya says Chinese government hacked the Hong Kong people. And I would like to know, Miss Maya, how you came to that conclusion, because the Google researchers stopped short of naming names. They just said it was a state-backed organization. So the second, or I should say third biggest headline of the day is that Instagram is testing paying $10,000 in bonuses to select creators for posting Reels, their versions of TikTok videos. As part of a bonus program announced in July, Instagram really wants you to post Reels. They even pay you up to $10,000 for one Reel if you're lucky, as TikTok surpasses the 1 billion monthly active users mark. And as they pass the 1 billion monthly active users mark, competitor platforms like YouTube Shorts, Snapchat Spotlight, and Instagram Reels, and Netflix just came out with one too called Kids Clips, are incentivizing users to post their short-form content on the app instead. YouTube established a $100 million creator fund for shorts to compete with TikTok. Snapchat is offering cash prizes for submissions to Spotlight challenges. And now Instagram is upping the ante on its monthly Reels Play bonus program. But creators are confused about what factors determine how big a bonus they're eligible for from Instagram, and the platform isn't helping clear up their concerns. Instagram says that the program is experimental and still in its early stages, but the lack of transparency can be troubling for creators who use these platforms to make a living. The bonus program even experienced a glitch this week, causing eligible creators to be told that they were actually ineligible for the payout. Okay, yeah, they're all trying to fight the incredible success of TikTok.
Well, I know one thing that they have to have over 10K followers because I manage like tons of IG accounts and mine, I don't have 10K followers, like I don't care. But I can't monetize my reels. But for anybody who has over 10K, it seems as though that they are offering that. So just want to put that out there. In addition to getting paid to go live as well. So that's been fun as well.
Yeah, the whole next stage is the live shopping bit. That's coming very soon. Interest as well. So the next one is that Amazon will let Amazon Prime users who are iOS users share video clips from Amazon Prime Video, which is Amazon Prime's version of Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus. And they're going to let users share clips up to 30 seconds long from some of their content. So that kind of goes with the last headline. You could ostensibly take little clips from Amazon Prime titles and put them on TikTok or Instagram or Snapchat or what have you, and hopefully you'll get some of that juicy $10,000 bonus. That's a totally brilliant concept, by the way, of letting customers become your marketers by sharing content directly to their friends. The next one is that Spotify, the music app, acquires audiobook distributor Findaway, as it says it expects the deal to close by the end of the year. In an effort to expand beyond music, Spotify has been investing hundreds of millions to build out its podcast business. Now the company has set its sights on another form of audio in the form of audiobooks. Exactly right. So the Spotify app used to be exclusively music. And then more recently, they added a second tab of content called, what did they call it? They call it podcasts. So there's a tab for music, there's a tab for podcasts, and now there's going to be a tab for audiobooks. And then soon there will be a tab that says live audio, which will be their version of Clubhouse called Green Room. And that's what's coming to Spotify, because they want to monopolize your ear time, just like all the other video platforms. The big battle between TikTok and Snapchat and all those apps are competing for your eyeball time. And it turns out Spotify ain't playing that game, not yet anyway.
You just screwed up your sound again, sir.
Oh, did I?
Tyler. Yeah, it sounds really distant, like just distant, basically.
Okay.
Tyler, just get rid of the headset.
There is no headset.
That's
So,
better.
Now you're back.
Yep. Okay. So
What? It was your voice this whole time?
Of
So-
course. If not, it's a bot. Maybe it's a bot.
Yes, I thought it was a bot. Sorry. No,
That
I'm
was
just
the glitch
kidding.
in the
Sorry.
Matrix as we
It
switched
kinda
over from the
sounded like
deep fake back to
Yeah.
sound.
Can we please send a sound engineer to Tyler to get rid of this?
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know what's happening with your sound today.
And is it okay again?
It sounded like you. Now
Now
it's
it's
fine.
better. Yes.
Okay, we're good now. So Spotify is going to add live audio tab. So there will be 4 tabs in the very near future. There will be music, audio books, podcasts, and live audio. And they want to be the one-stop destination for all things for your ears. Next up is from the BBC that Alibaba's annual big sale day is kind of China's version of Black Friday. It's called Singles Day. And this year, the event sees the slowest ever sales growth of 8.5% since last year, since it was launched in 2009. But customer spending still hit a record $84 billion on Alibaba for one day. That's a lot of billions of dollars for one day. The next is, and for one app as well. The next is a profile of CryptoPunks, an NFT project founded by 2 Canadian developers in 2017, which has reached $1.5 billion in lifetime sales as NFTs explode in popularity. And Cheryl can pin that to the top of the room. For those who don't know about CryptoPunks, that's a really good place to start. And that article is a good article to get you updated on the history of NFTs. The next one is from ZDNet. It says Biden signs the Secure Equipment Act of 2021, denying FCC licenses to Huawei, ZTE networks, and other companies that are considered national security threats, which effectively bans Huawei, ZTE equipment in the United States. The Secure Equipment Act of 2021 received bipartisan support prior to being signed by Joe Biden. And the South China Morning Post covers the article saying, Joe Biden signs law blocking Chinese telecom firms like Huawei ZTE from new equipment licenses. So this is adding more kind of punishment to Huawei's business in the US. Now no one will be able to get licenses to operate Huawei or ZTE equipment in the US for national security threats. The next one is from TechCrunch. It says Google creates a new team comprising of its Area 120 incubator, AR and VR efforts, and Project Starline Holographic Video, which is ostensibly a metaverse lab, basically. And just connecting the dots here, it seems Google now understands they're seeing the same headlines that we are, that everybody is, not everybody, but in the recent announcements from Niantic, Pokemon Go, and NVIDIA, and Facebook, and Unity purchasing the Weta Digital Visual Effects Studio for $1 billion, all these things happening in the past week. I imagine if you're Google and you want to have a horse in the race of the metaverse, you better get your ducks in a row sooner than later and put together your metaverse team. And that this seems to be exactly that. So be looking forward to whatever they end up cooking up in that kitchen. We look forward to hearing the results of that. The next one is from Politico, and the title,
Tyler, I'm just thinking about one thing.
yes,
Is it possible for them to extend that security threat from Huawei to that app, TikTok, or it's not possible?
if they had any reason to call it a national security risk, then it would ban it. Yeah, by default it would. So there's two
This
steps.
is Heather.
Yeah, the government.
Crazy because they have offices in in the United States.
Yeah. So well, so does Huawei. Huawei. I'm that the issue is
But that's Equipment Act, not software.
right.
So what do we need to do to extend it to the softwares that are harming?
Mm, yeah, you mean what would one do if you wanted to ban TikTok? I mean, they could just ban it.
Yes.
So I mean, India banned it. I mean, the U.S. could ban it. That when Trump wanted, you know what? It's a good question because Trump actually didn't. I think Trump wanted to ban it, but instead they decided to force a U.S. owner of it in to operate in the U.S. and they were trying to sell it to Oracle. And I wonder if they were only even thinking about that because banning it is somehow not uh, so simple, and it's easier to force them to sell to an American company. Because I think the motive was to ban it, but so why not ban it if Trump wanted to ban it? Why didn't he just ban it? Why did he take this other route of trying to get Larry Ellison from Oracle to buy it, for example?
Because
That
Trump is a
was like
businessman.
profit driven, of course,
Money.
profit
Yeah,
driven,
Trump
because
is a
that's for the
businessman.
money. There was no intention of banning it. It was like, okay, go around it so that my buddy can get I don't want to say it that way though. It was profit driven, probably. My intention right now is to understand why can't we identify this as a threat, the level of damage is causing to the young minds, and take action by making some policies, extending the similar kind of policy that we are incorporating for Huawei and extend that to the software. Any software that is using that kind of psychological manipulation is harmful for mental health.
Yeah,
But
that's a
Tyler, I think if they want to ban TikTok, they can do it at the ISP level, right?
well. I think there's free trade agreements that prevent you from doing that if it's not a national
Ah,
security threat. So in this case, the children would have to be studied, and it would have to be shown in pretty much a legal setting. But just as a joke, I'm going to do a little Trump thing.
So,
We're
so
going
why can't we
to
do that? How about doing those studies? I'm sure
Well,
there
we
are.
have Tyler released that study earlier. It's called, and he said it in perfect terms, which was TikTok weaponized campaigns
Yeah, that's what
against
I'm saying. The evidence
American
is
people.
already there. The damage
And
that has
you
caused,
pull
if
a
we,
trigger.
excuse me,
Well, let me
Maher,
get
1 minute. Let me finish. Thank you. If we calculate the damage that has been done all to all the schools, not to mention the psychological, emotional turmoil that has caused in so many children and teachers who have been kind of assaulted by these kids. By, you would say, you know how a juvenile is sometimes talked into doing something which is called, what do you call it legally, when you tell somebody and influence their decision to make them do something, those kind of
gaslighted
things
kind of.
legally. Yeah, so those kind of things are there. Then you can calculate all the damage that was done to the physical property in the school. Then you can calculate all the suicide risk, people, I mean, the number, data that's related to TikTok's trends directly, all the hospital visits that resulted in eating those Tide Pods, and, the hospital cost of
This is
healthcare
Heather.
costs.
I mean, Facebook has this data. Facebook came out and it said that it was detrimental to mental health, and nobody did anything. So we can pull all these data points about TikTok, but nobody's going to do anything about it. It's a
It's a
social
slippery
media
slope,
issue
though.
as a
because we
whole.
don't because we
It
don't talk
becomes a
about it
slippery
directly.
slope.
We don't talk about it directly with courage. Straight up, man. Look, the next layer up, the real shit is these guys have the ability to create a social campaign, release some videos out there. Let's look at the algorithm, the structure. You could create a social campaign, target a region, bombard that region with a campaign which will trigger humans to start taking violent action in that community.
That's already happening, like
That's what
damaging
being
property in
done by
school.
another nation.
Yes,
There's
that's what I'm
a
saying. So
third
this
of
is
the
a
board
security
member
threat.
is China, and they have an algorithm which they could turn it off. They could turn it off for America, but they left it on for America and off for China. Like, why don't people just approach that and look that right in the face and
Yeah,
call it
you have to
what
have a
it is?
legal
Yeah,
framework,
so
though. You have
just
to have
turn
a
off
legal
that,
argument.
or partially turn off that kind of content and choose the positive one. Dances are okay, funny videos are okay, but anything violent or health risk or mental or physical risk or insinuating that you go and take this kind of violent action should be banned.
So
Okay,
the
what
I
about when a
think the whole
government
point
knows?
for
But
having
the point I'm making is when a government knows that this will cause damage and chaos and violence, potentially death, and turns it off in their country, and then decides to keep it on in another country, they could turn it off, but they decide to keep it on. That's what I'm talking about here.
Yeah, so the government would have to find like intention, right? They can because it's easy to say, well, that wasn't the intention, that's what happened, but that's just what happened because that's what the society wanted, not because that was what the intention of the app is, right? So if an American company comes in and it becomes part owner, then the government can actually start subpoenaing information from the company, gathering up the information that they need in order to ban it from America.
So isn't
Well,
But
it
we got American
American owned
TikTok.
right
We got
now? This
American
is
TikTok.
American owned right now, so we can do
Yeah,
that.
American
That's what I'm
TikTok.
saying. We need to take action to consider and really evaluate this as a threat to our future generation, their
is
emotional,
it? I mean,
physical
I
health.
don't think Oracle
It is.
actually closed on the deal. The last I checked.
That's
Wait,
They
true.
wait,
did
wait,
So
wait,
not.
wait. Hold on, guys. Listen, there was a decision made, right? Here's what I want to know. There was a decision, and there's probably a trail of communication around this decision, right? Hey, there's a bunch of videos. They cause a bunch of problems. We don't want them anymore in China. All right, cool. They make an algorithm. Hey, this video now can be, this kind of content can be turned off in Chinese or in English or in any other language. We could basically specifically target these videos and turn them off. What would you like to do, sir? And he says, turn it off for China, but keep it on for America. Like, you have the ability to just to use
Okay,
it.
so
How did
so
that conversation go down?
Mhm.
my point was to
That's what we
begin.
need to know.
My point is that if we can, we already recognize Huawei as a security threat and we took action. Why can't we take the same action for this kind of content? Because it's psychological manipulation.
Because
This is
that has been done before for hardware. This is not the first time that it's been related to hardware. We have not done that for software. And
yes.
it
So isn't it time to develop these policies for software? Because all the softwares are coming up. This is new technology. We need to take
well, I
action.
can answer your question. It's because
Be-
there's plausible deniability in the case of software, because unless you look at the code, you can't prove what you assume. You have to ask.
exactly.
You have to ask them, and they're going to say, "Oh no, we're not doing that intentionally." And then there's no way to actually prove it's happening in software unless you look at the actual code. In the case
And
of
there's no way to get the code
Okay, so
right,
without.
Tyler, then why is it banned in China? If it's not the software,
because
then why the software is banned in China?
They
the
decide
But
Chinese government
you do have
operates a little
statements.
differently than the American
they
government.
right, they're communistic and they decide what their citizens consume. We're a bit more democratic, and that also we make the assumption that people think. TikTok is that social opium. The average person isn't making or connecting the dots in the ways in which we're doing here.
So we
So
are
if you
connecting the
begin
dots,
to,
right? So
we
we
are
see that
right, we
it's
are connecting
damaging.
the dots,
It's
but if
damaging to the
we
children, and we need to take action. We need to stop any psychological manipulation, this emotional hurt, and the physical assault that these children are doing in the result
We are
for
agreeing with you,
parenting.
but
I
the way to go
agree with
about
you,
it for
Erin,
How do
but
we
my
software.
get
point
Yes,
online?
Sharon,
is,
go
if I
ahead.
can, I agree with you, Erin, but my point is the consumers of this toxicity will not agree with you. And therein lies the crux of the issue. Even if we begin that movement, there could potentially be movement against it, stating the case for TikTok's toxicity in America. And that's a larger conversation to have.
Okay, so check this
Yes, we
out,
should be making that.
Sharon. So
So
watch.
my question is, how do we start that conversation? What do we have to do? Because we
You
need
write your
to
senator.
take care of
Well,
the
right
You
now,
children.
send. You call
that,
your. You
that
you call
all
your.
America's have a
It,
hearing,
the answer to your
right?
question is very simple. You call your senators. That's the actual answer to your question. Now, the headline from 48 hours ago from the BBC. Here, let me pin it to the top of the room so you don't think I'm joking here. Here it comes. And there it is. The headline says TikTok school videos causing real distress. For
See?
48 hours ago from the BBC. Now, please make note that this is not coming from the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. It's coming from the BBC, who primarily gets their money from the government, not from this. They're not competing with Facebook for advertising dollars. So what's happening in the US is the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times and the Washington Post are competing with Facebook for advertising dollars, and Facebook is winning. Hence, their journalistic jihad and economic uh, terrorism against their competitor, Facebook. TikTok is not really perceived as their direct competitor. In fact, they perceive TikTok as their ally in kicking Facebook's ass, which is what's
Wow.
happening.
I wonder why.
Now, that's why you're seeing positive pieces yesterday from the New York Times about TikTok.
And
Now,
you'll never get traction to
But
cut
that's so
TikTok
weird
off
because
because by
now
doing that, you're giving Facebook full breath. That's never going to
I'm,
happen. They
I'm not,
intend to keep TikTok as that
let
competitor.
me finish here. So, the headline from the BBC, who does not economically compete with Facebook, who can say it for what it really is, the headline says in recent hours, 20 TikTok school videos causing real distress. You will never read this in the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. They will not pick up on this narrative because they want TikTok to succeed in the US in its fight against Facebook. The article says schools across Northern Ireland have been targeted by bogus TikTok accounts in which pupils rate their teachers. Police said the videos had caused real distress to those targeted. They warned some of the content was abusive and may constitute a crime under misuse of telecommunications and harassment. Teachers Union said the significant number of schools were affected, with some teachers off sick as a result. Lurgan Junior High School contacted police over the content of one video posted on TikTok, according to the Belfast Telegraph. Justin McCampbell from the teachers union said the trend had begun after the Halloween school break before gaining momentum in recent days. He said parents should be aware of their young of their children's activities, while schools and employing authorities should act because of the extreme distress caused in some cases. We are calling on school principals and governors to cooperate with the PSNI to ensure this activity can be properly investigated. We warn parents and pupils that they need to be aware of the consequences of this clearly criminal content. Mr. Campbell added that young people may be competing with each other by making potentially defamatory comments without thinking of the stress they are causing. He said the content ranges from mild to extreme videos, including clearly criminal content. Although all of it was uncomfortable for teachers, the PSNI confirmed reports of a number of incidents where fake TikTok accounts for local schools have been set up. A spokesman said the accounts had then posted images of school staff with inappropriate comments. While those involved may not see the harm in their actions, they are causing real distress to the individuals targeted. A spokesperson for the Education Authority said, "We are aware of this growing online trend. which is completely unacceptable. We will continue to monitor the situation and provide relevant support and guidance where appropriate. And here's another related headline. 48 hours ago, children who film TikTok videos at school could face exclusion. Parents warned. Next article, 2 days ago, parents warned over TikTok trend encouraging children to damage school bathroom and attack teachers. Next
Is
article.
this all BBC?
No, all
content?
separate publications,
All separate.
but none
Yeah.
of them New York Times or Wall Street Journal or Washington Post, the regular suspects in the U.S. Next article. School teachers targeted in TikTok videos featuring pornography and distasteful abuse. Next one, BBC, TikTok. Pupils could be excluded for filming videos at school. So the BBC repeatedly covers this.
So my
So
question is,
that means
where
there
are
is.
the parents? Where are the parents?
Here's the next
Okay,
one.
it's not
Because
about the parents
Here's the
right
next
now.
one.
This is about we have enough data
Hold on.
to,
we understand the data, but it's personal responsibility as well. Believe
Right.
me, I've been on social media
We
for
agree.
15 years. It's personal responsibility as well.
We completely agree. The next one is 2 hours old from the Herald Sun. Schools aghast at TikTok toilet trend. Bizarre TikTok trend has students vandalizing school toilets. A bizarre and mindless trend encouraging students to vandalize school bathrooms. By the way, all of these can be found by very simply typing in the words TikTok school into your Google search bar and clicking on the news tab, and you will see just the two simple words, TikTok school, click news, and look at an entire feed of stories in the past 48 hours of publications all over the world talking about the mayhem that TikTok is causing in schools.
How
The
much you
Oh,
thing
want to
by the
is
bet
way,
that
with
Europe
this
will
you
that
can
do
do
there's
something
that.
before
there is
America does?
so
You can
the
do that
thing
in
that
YouTube, by the way. Try this out. Try doing it in YouTube. Here's what's a good search feature in YouTube. Go to YouTube and search a topic and look at it by country, look at it by relevance, by a certain amount of hours uploaded within the last few amount of days. And yeah, you won't just get the big huge one, but you'll see a nice string of what's really going down. And you'll probably see a whole bunch of kids. It'd be interesting to see what that yields when you start looking up all the different YouTube videos
Check this
that
out.
people are posting.
So I think there is a way to actually circumvent the government from kicking this out of the
yeah,
country,
that's what
and
I'm
that's going
interested in
straight and
knowing.
that's
What
going
can we
straight to
do?
Apple,
Hmm.
going to Apple and to Google to bring to not allow the app on their
Right.
platform.
Here's
I think
one.
that would be
17 hours ago from Kalamazoo. Legal experts warn kids could face legal consequences for TikTok challenges at schools. Next one, 3 days ago. Wycombe High School goes viral on TikTok as teachers singing and signing off. And then wait for this one. Where there was a school closure recently. Where did it go? Where is it?
I would refuse to sit quietly and watch them destroy the youth and their, mental and emotional health like that. Well, we are just sitting ducks and watching it happening, thinking we can't do
I
anything. We
found
must
it.
take action.
Meanwhile, the military treats TikTok as a cyber threat and tells their staff not to use TikTok.
Correct.
Like, you should
Okay, so
absolutely
why
be in
can't we
trouble for it.
extend that threat to
Because
just like,
you can't prove it.
Ultimately, Tyler, what I think it comes down to is this. We can't say TikTok is destroying our children's psyche because TikTok, yes, they have an algorithm and they've pointed certain things in a certain direction, but come on, I agree with Heather. We have 9 kids. One of my youngest, Charlie D'Amelio, gave her a shout out on TikTok. She started growing like a rash. And my 9-year-old was able to make a constructive decision and just get herself off TikTok. She just said, hey, I didn't want the attention anymore. You cannot negate good parenting. I'm not going to sit down and wait on the government to ban TikTok so that I don't have to be a good parent. Come
Right.
on, that's trash.
We agree with you. We agree
Well
1,000% that it can.
well made point.
Yeah. Here's the one.
But we got to talk about
There's
the
more.
fact that
There's
it was
more to it
weaponized.
than your child, as this next headline will tell you. WSHU Connecticut, following a school closure caused by TikTok. In Connecticut, school students and parents are concerned about vandalism at New Britain High School following a viral TikTok challenge that closed the fucking school.
Miss Tyler.
So this ain't
Okay,
about
you
you and your genius little
We
child.
have to track it back, right? It's initiated on
this is
purpose by
not
being a human being says we're going to go into this area
No,
and cause
I
havoc.
think
They launch the algorithm in there. They launch the videos of the challenges in there. They create the fake accounts in there, and then it leads to a school getting shut down. It was triggered. It was
Did we lose Maurer? Sounds like it. The question is, if Facebook or Instagram was responsible for closing,
Yeah, that
a,
sounds reasonable, but how do you prove that?
if Facebook had closed a school in a similar way, if we replaced the word Facebook with TikTok in that article about closing a school in Connecticut, do we think it would be in the New
It
York
would be in
Times
front of the Senate.
in a
It'd be
new?
But
in
here's
front of
the
the Senate.
thing. Look, there's a huge difference between the United States and social media around the world. In Australia, they treat it as a media source, and whatever is put on the social, like on Facebook, they're liable essentially. That's what's happening right now in Australia. If you look up Facebook Australia, like the United States treats it so much differently than other countries, and if we just made individuals liable or the companies liable for what the hell is on their platforms, then maybe we wouldn't be such horrible human beings and posting shitty things online, because we would actually be held accountable, and these platforms will say, oh shit, I'm held accountable for this.
Right.
Maybe we should clean up our
Well, that's
algorithm
what
and fix it, but
this
they
is.
don't.
This is what the articles that I started reading a minute ago said, is that the parents are now being warned that they're going to be responsible for their students' behaviors at the school, meaning the schools are going to hold the parents responsible, and they're now warning
Good.
the parents of that. I agree, good, but the point is,
wait. Oh, time out, just real quick, guys. There's a little team of dweebs sitting somewhere and creating campaigns and launching them all across the world, the cities, and initiating chaos. There's a team of people doing that right now.
Calling them little dweebs is not going to help, so I would
Okay,
refrain from
there's a
using that
team.
kind of.
So
I
there's
think
a
they
team.
are
I'm a
very
There's a
dweeb.
team.
smart and they know the psychological manipulation. That's how they are creating it. This
That's
is
what they're
not a
that's what we
child
need to be
creating
talking
these
about.
trends. This is
Okay,
a complete
It's not the parents' fault.
psychological warfare, Tyler.
so
This is
so there's
psychological
so there's a
warfare.
team
Yeah,
of
it's
You
not the
can be
parents. Like
traced.
guys. Even if
It
we had a
can be
utopian,
traced to where it's coming from. We need to look at it that way because psychological warfare is not a joke.
yeah, but
And
exactly.
it sets the
so
exactly.
precedence.
so
Exactly
That's
there's
what
what
a
this
Aaron
team.
said.
is.
So
Psychological warfare sets the precedence. We don't. It's not relegated to just one country. It means if we allow one country to do it, multiple can do it in the future. And if we don't speak to it now, we have a huge problem to face later.
Exactly.
And
These are
it's
Yeah,
not
not
innocent
relegated to
trends
one
by
social
you
media
can't
children.
you can't
These
platform.
are
being
being
like, oh, it's the
But
crafted,
parents.
being
it's not
crafted
relegated
especially
These
to
are
by
one
crafted attacks.
social
neuroscientists
media
based in
platform.
psychology. You can see it. I mean, people who know, they can see. I can see it. This is not a job of a child. This is like somebody manipulating you emotionally, knowing how to do it. This is very specialized.
You
Right,
know
I
what?
understand that. We all
You don't
understand that,
need
but it's
your
one social. We can't just pin it on one social media profile. We've seen this in
and
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
no, we really
TikTok,
haven't.
Snapchat,
No, we
MySpace. I mean,
haven't.
no, they
seriously.
are not. They are not.
That's not we are saying,
It really
Heather.
comes down
And
We are not
to
you
saying
don't
that.
it
come
really
on,
comes down to
Americans.
simple.
You
Is America
never.
gonna say? Is America
You
gonna
know.
say, just like when we submit our blood sample, right? We have a right to know what's going on with that, what's happening with it, right? When our data is a piece of us, when that goes out there, we should say this is a piece of us. We have a right to know how it's used, at least, right?
Okay,
And if
ask
we're the
you.
only,
Can I
yeah,
ask something,
and by the way, we're
Mahe?
the only country with, like, China has clearly taken that one side of the metaverse that's coming and saying we're going to control this shit. That's what they've done. And the
Okay,
United States has
can
a
I ask
choice
a
to make, which
question?
is, are we going to
Yeah,
be
go ahead,
When
Cheryl.
and the
Hold on,
when
freedom,
Cheryl.
the freedoms.
Maher,
okay
Cheryl would
Yeah.
like to speak.
when is American so obedient? I mean, you don't need your government to tell you that I mean, you can stop using TikTok if you think that it's not good for you, right? Why do you need to let your government tell you to stop using it? Then you stop using it. Just stop using it.
Exactly.
Well, in this,
Yeah, but
Just
it's a,
Yeah,
do
but
it.
I
no.
think
There's also laws and
Because it's
regulations, right? There
how
are
well,
laws.
No, you
here's
don't
the
need
question though.
And
the government to tell
we
you
because
need
not to
laws and
use it.
business
regulations
help.
stating that
If you
pieces of
think that it's
us are
affecting
our
your
stuff.
children, just don't let them use it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
fine. This
kids
is a
are really clever though.
conversation.
Cheryl,
They'll
But
This is
find
a
Cheryl,
any.
this
it's
is
the same
that's
argument. Oh, you have a gun, you should not shoot it. People
no, no,
still
no, no,
use
no.
the
This is
gun
the
for
thing.
No,
It's
you
shooting.
have
That's
besides.
to train
different.
people
This is a
specifically on
laser
social. Come on.
focus
Total
point. This is a
dystopia.
laser focus point right here. It's laser focused on one thing, not all this other shit. Right? It is our data that comes out of us ours or not? Should
It
we have
depends
the
on the
right to
country.
know how it's being used?
Well,
Should we have
if
the
you
right to
don't
know
use
how it's being
TikTok, your
used?
data will not be
How
on
the
TikTok,
data that
right?
comes out from us? Do we have the
And
right
that's a
to know
that's a good
how
point,
it's
You
being
Sam.
agree
used?
to
That's the
you agree to
question.
terms. You
Yeah,
agree to terms
right.
and conditions
Precisely.
that do not allow you to own any of the data that comes
Precisely.
out of it.
That's the correct answer.
Right.
Now, here's
Well, I'm
I want to read
talking
this
about
article because it
laws
hold on.
to.
I want to read this article because it'll shed a lot of light on this whole conversation. Just digest this for a second. Parents warned over TikTok trend encouraging children to damage schools and attack teachers. A local authority has sent out letters to parents warning them that legal action could be taken against children who film videos on school sites. Now watch this. It says parents are being warned about illegal TikTok trends, not Facebook trends, not Instagram trends, not Snapchat, what have you. Parents are being warned about illegal TikTok trends which could see children excluded from schools or even face police action. Recent videos shared to TikTok encourage children to vandalize school bathrooms and attack teachers on camera. Along with the slap a teacher trend, videos tagged deck the halls and show your B star 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 S. What's that? Your butts. Deck the
Your
halls and
balls.
deck the halls and show your balls for December has also been making its way around the social media site.
Oh my goodness.
Parents and children have been
These are crafted attacks.
correct.
These are crafted.
Yeah, we don't
These are
deny that.
crafted attacks,
I
guys.
know. Hold on. Parents and children have been told by some schools that filming any TikTok video on site at a school could lead to expulsion. So now pause right there and consider what that means. That means the school is saying that using this app will get you expelled. Expulsion.
Good job.
Right.
I agree.
Okay, now here's the point is shouldn't that give some indication as to if
How
imagine that
detrimental.
imagine that this was Facebook for 1 second. Do we not think that this would be headline news in 5 fucking minutes in the New York Times and the
Yes,
Wall Street Journal if this was Facebook? And the
absolutely.
fact that it's TikTok and they are dead silent on this,
Silent on TikTok. Yes. Let just think about it. What's happening?
it goes a
They're
little
selling their
further. It
souls.
says,
They're selling their souls for dollars, dude. It's sad, right? Like they're Americans,
hold
man.
on,
They're just chilling. And this
hold on,
America, they're
hold on.
parents.
One last
They're
paragraph.
parents. They're
Let me
parents.
let me get to the last paragraph. It says, now school counselors are asking parents to check their children's mobile phones and social media accounts to make sure any inappropriate videos have been deleted. Some schools are also taking it upon themselves to monitor pupils' social media accounts, including TikTok, warning they will take the necessary action if content filmed on school grounds is found. So they're now
That should have been headline news on one of our major news
correct.
outlets.
Yeah, they're selling their souls and not covering what should be covered, man, to try to hurt Facebook. Like, yeah, I mean, one thing I do appreciate about this room is like you call it like it is any way it is, right? So they could be doing something bad over here, but like, oh, that's bad, right? And then if they're doing something good over there, that's good, right? Well,
I would
yeah,
be
like
the
Facebook's done bad stuff, but
if
they've
this
also
if this
like
was
for the
happening
news
on
media doing
Facebook,
this.
I would be equally, if not, I would be equally irate. And
Exactly.
this is precisely what I'm asking the journalists to do who cover social media, like Taylor Lorenz at the New York Times. That's her beat. It's social media. She wrote two pieces in the past 2 weeks that were about TikTok. Both of them wildly positive about TikTok. One of them positive about TikTok in schools was the whole piece.
That discredits her as a journalist. It really does because we all know how toxic TikTok is. The
I'm going
fact
to
that she
find the piece
hasn't
right
had it,
now. Watch this.
it's incredibly discrediting.
Here it is, October 20th, right? So what is that? 22 days ago. TikTok clubs in schools is the article that she wrote. And here's the whole article. I'll tweet it to the Tech News Twitter account. TikTok clubs in schools. Teens love the app, and now it's getting a stamp of approval with teacher approved clubs. Did schools just get fun? Question mark.
I mean, you got to really think about this, right? Like, there's children, right? There's a group of people that are creating now not just violence, but sexually explicit acts that our children should do. So they're thinking about this. Then they're going out and creating fake accounts. They're targeting an area. They're doing A and B testing, right? Like they're trying all these different challenges and shit and getting A/B testing of which ones they can deploy whenever they want to at a different region, right? And they're like, oh, if you do this and if you do this, if this, then this, then this, then that, then this will happen. Kids will get. Here's the other side of that. Kids get expelled, right? Like, little impressionable kids are getting expelled. That's a problem. Schools shutting down. That's a problem. There's a lot of havoc, right? Now, let's insert, show your balls around at, like, elementary kids and middle school kids. There's a group of people that are actively doing this stuff to hurt our kids.
We get that.
Those
So
people should be reported, and yes, and the fact that they're not reporting is nuts, right? Like, what is that? How can you not report your own kid? If you're a parent, if you got a nephew, if you got a daughter, if you got a neighbor with a kid, like, you should give a shit.
To me,
hold
to
on.
my mind, criminal negligence is coming to my mind.
Okay, so William Jackson, good sir, in the audience, you have your hand raised, and I can tell by your photo that you are in a classroom because I used to teach in a classroom that looked exactly like that, sir. So I would love to give the floor to you if you would indulge us, sir.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you very much. This is really exciting, and I'm hearing all the perspective. But I teach at a middle school, and
Yep.
I've been teaching 33 years.
Amen.
And I
First of all, thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir.
Hell
Thank
yeah.
you.
thank
You.
you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
Thank you.
And I'm a STEAM educator. I teach science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. I also teach different areas of technology as well. And I have never seen the impact that TikTok is having on our kids. Just about every week, we have announcements to the students. Do not follow anything that you see on TikTok. Don't engage in it. Don't follow it. Don't share it.
Hello.
Anything. And one of our policies is when kids come to school with their phones have to be shut off and they have to be in their book bag. But obviously, kids are going to do the opposite of what you tell them. But we've had, telling the kids about the bathrooms. We've had the bathroom challenge where they have destroyed bathrooms. We've even had students that have attacked teachers. And when
Hello.
you're talking to them, and it's like, hey, why are you doing this? Well, we saw it on a TikTok video. We thought it was funny, or we see it online on different places, and we think this is the thing to do because we're following our friends, and it is really influencing. And unfortunately, the parents in many cases don't have a clue because a lot of times the parents don't check their children's phones or even their watches or even their tablets. And I'm a blogger myself here in Jacksonville, and I blog about this as well for parents to really be proactive and start having these conversations with their children and what they need to be doing with their phones and what they shouldn't be doing. But this TikTok stuff, I tell you, school districts are pulling out their hair about, well, what policies and what strategies can they use to get kids to understand, this is social media stuff. It's like this can affect not just now academically, but your future, particularly if you get caught up in destroying school property. And we've had unfortunately, several kids arrested because they totally destroyed bathrooms, or they're going down the hall, switching classes, slapping kids in the face, slapping kids in the back of the head, and it's just really getting out of hand, and it's very dangerous. So,
Now imagine it being used as a weapon during elections times to basically go in there and deploy these accounts to activate these kids to do this kind of activity, and
Okay,
you'll
I have one question for Sir William. So, whenever you take actions against these acts and try to talk to the children and their parents, what are the outcomes naturally? Because my point is, no matter how much control or like we try to teach the children and the parents, it is not in their hand 100% unless we remove this stimulus. So, you have seen any positive outcomes when the parents get involved, or any kind of supportive evidence that can say that it can be controlled, the outcomes can be controlled just by managing the human factor?
well, as far as parent conversations, parents will say, "Well, I'll have a talk with them, or we'll get counseling, or something to that extent." Next thing you know, the kid still has the phone. This kid is still walking around like nothing's wrong, and I think just parents just really don't really understand the influence that social media has, on their children's minds and their behaviors. And again, I'm just talking about middle school students now. Now, there are elementary kids that are doing things as well. and you hear about that occasionally. But
Oh my
when you're
God.
talking to parents, parents are like, oh, well, I'll just check their phone, or they won't do it again, depending on the severity. You know, if a kid gets suspended, well, I'll just take their phone away from for a week, and that's it.
Well, what about like when I was going to school, like, yeah, people had cell phones, some kids did, but as soon as you pulled it out, the teacher took it and you didn't get it back until the end of the
Right.
day. Why isn't that like
Let me
Well,
enforceable
answer the
anymore?
let
Is
question.
me
it just
let me
because
share this with you.
Mar, let me finish. Is it just because the culture has changed, or is there some sort of additional pushback that you get
Well,
from the
these
parents,
things are
William?
happening in the
Well,
bathroom, right? The kids have their phones in their lockers. I don't think they have them out in their class at any point in time.
oh, yes, they do. They sneak it out. So I teach in a computer lab, so I know when a student puts his or her head down, that they're more than likely trying to text their friend. So I'll just walk up behind them and I'll look, and sure enough, now we do have a policy. If you have your phone out and you're using, we are allowed to take it and put it what's called cell phone jail, and the parents have to pick it up at the end of the day. If it gets if it gets too bad, they can't bring it to school at all. And I'll give you one instance with me. With a young lady, I had to take her phone last year. Took her phone because she had it out. She was doing inappropriate stuff, sending messages. She came to my class and threatened me physically if I did not give her back her phone. Not only did she threaten me, but she had two of her friends that were girls. And I'm sitting there looking at this situation, and I wanted to laugh. I'm like, wait a minute. You're a seventh grade student, as little as you are, and you're threatening me if I don't give you back your phone. But yet you have your two friends here standing there. And
Because of what happens in the brain, right? These
It's
kids
the
are
right,
addiction
addicted.
speaking.
they
Yeah.
are addicted. And
This
then
is
Let me
why I
answer.
call it social opium. And honestly, there's a cultural change too, because when I was growing up, a child would never speak to an adult that way.
oh my
You
God.
were just so concerned about the
Okay,
reprimand
so
you would
the
get.
opium aspect, yes, if you're playing game, but here they are directly suggested to do these kind of acts, like stand up to
But
your
they're also
teacher,
But there's still
slap
the
bombarded with
you still have the
Wait, wait,
images.
dopium.
That's
You
where I
still
think
slap
that they're
you
let
bombarded
still
Mr.
with
have
Jackson a
what's
images.
question.
called, excuse me, you
yes,
still have what's called the dopium effect, which is likes, going viral, having more
yes,
followers. These are all
yes,
things that
that's
Right.
affect
true.
brain
That's true. But
activity.
here,
So it's
the intent
But
is
can
to
I ask the question?
actively act in a violent way towards an adult, your teacher, and they are giving them suggestions in how to do it, how to execute those actions. There's a huge difference. This is like when you plan a crime and you coach someone to do it. That's grooming. These are grooming tactics.
That's so
Let
true.
me let me ask Mr. Jackson a direct question. Mr. Jackson,
Okay.
what should happen to a group of people that are basically uh, all day long creating fake accounts to initiate these campaigns that you have seen, in the schools play out? And these people it's a group of people that continue to do this, strategically targeting different areas in school, one area but not others, right? They have the ability to turn it off, but
and I'm sorry, just
it,
to add
it,
to that, it's also it doesn't necessarily mean that it is coming from China. It could be from other areas of the world that
I'm
have
just
been known to
in,
attack the United States.
in, in
Thank you for
general, there's a
clarifying
group of,
that point.
thank you, but in general, the people making those decisions, you see it, Mr. Jackson. What should happen to those people?
In my opinion, if we have enough technology to track whatever we need to track, and
I agree.
that's undeniable. And the truth is, if you see that there are foreign agents involved, or whatever you want to term, we should be able to work with the cell phone providers in the United States. I'm just saying the United States, and block that access to that content. Now, I don't know if you can really legally turn it off, but there should be a way to block it, because this is only going to get worse. And not only just block it, the schools are going to have to come to terms now where in their curriculum, they're going to have to provide some training for students and and parents as well about what's going on online. So it has to be done with curriculum, and cell phone providers and I guess you can say the federal government are going to have to block that content from coming into our networks,
Can I
because
ask a
if
What
not,
about
question?
the
we're going to
people?
see more and more.
Was there
What about the people?
repercussions?
What about the people? What about the people doing it? If we can basically get these people and then put them up, the decision makers who are planning and plotting all this, and we say we're going to put you guys on trial for this action, right? Should that occur? Should the people
What?
intentionally launching
Well,
social media
I
be
think what
put
it
up
was is
on
I
our
think somebody
and
already
or
mentioned that
let
that
them continue like like should we at least make a stance that says if you're gonna intentionally attack our kids and cause them to go out and slap teachers and
Looks like his mic dropped out.
we just like not face it. Like I'm just curious. Like I don't see anybody I'm surprised at how few would sit there say this is unacceptable behavior.
So
Like
start
this.
with our
But
news media outlets coming with an uproar and showing the news, showing that this isn't happening in silos, get everyone enraged, right? To the point where it's no longer about the money, it's no longer about the ad value, the financial ad value for these companies, and that they have to answer to parents, to
right.
teachers and students.
But
Unless you get it
have,
to that level, you're going to continue going around the circle wondering how to get to nip this at the bud. It's not just, as someone said, showing intent is going to be extremely difficult, but you can show that this is being impactful in negative ways at school. You can show the behavior sets that are occurring. You can show those things and perhaps elevating that. And I think that's why what Tyler says makes a lot of sense to me, in the sense that we're not seeing it elevated nationwide throughout all of our news media. This should be covered, showing that this isn't in silos, that our entire country is in danger.
Exactly.
well,
Let me ask the group this. This is Alex speaking. Was there repercussions? Because I mean, before TikTok challenges, there was YouTube challenges. I mean, I remember people dying from the Bird Box challenge, and there was also the fire challenge where people were challenged to douse themselves in some kind of flammable, object, and then record themselves doing that. And did they receive any like repercussions? Because a lot of people were seriously or killed doing those challenges. Also, the mono challenge, like people with mono would challenge. The challenge was to, kiss another person with mono or whatever, and all that was from YouTube.
this is
Yeah.
Heather. Thank you, Alex, for bringing that up. And that brings me back to personal responsibility. I have 3 kids. And if I heard that they were destroying bathrooms, let me tell you that A, they would not get their phone taken away, but more monitoring on my end, more responsibility around the house so they would be less on their phone. And then we would have a serious discussion about social media and how to use it effectively. It's about personal responsibility. If you have a 12-year-old and your 12-year-old is on TikTok, you are not taking personal responsibility for your children. There needs to be education on the level of social media. It is here to stay. I'm sorry. All the social media platforms suck. They are taking our data. They are doing negative things that affect our mental health and our children's mental health. I mean, divorce is at an all-time high. Addiction to technology is at an all-time high. It's about personal responsibility and education so that we do not let these social media platforms take over our lives and dictate what we do as a society. And that, again, falls on personal responsibility and holding these businesses, because they are businesses, accountable and setting guidelines. It's personal responsibility, and that we have to start with. I mean, I'm not going to have the government say, "Oh, sorry, kids, you can't be on TikTok." I'm not waiting for that. My kids are not allowed to be on TikTok, and we have to take personal responsibility.
And
Uh,
one of the things
My
that
kids
goes
don't
with
have
what you're
time.
saying too is when I was teaching at elementary school, I had third, fourth, and fifth graders following me on social media. So I use that as an opportunity to teach them about what to post and what not to post. They're on social media. They've been on it for years, but unfortunately, the attention is not on giving them training, teaching them properly. It's kind of like giving a kid your car keys and not teaching them how to drive. Kids have access to all this technology just on their phones alone, and they're expected to behave a particular way. And kids are just free will. It's like, oh, I can do anything I want to do. And kids are,
Exactly. And there's a moral responsibility, a moral one, to have on social media. There's so many people who do negative, horrible things on the internet.
That's
Horrible.
true, yes, but
Horrible. But
we
there needs to
also
be
have
personal
laws for
responsibility and
driving.
education for our
We
kids.
also have laws for driving, cutoff age for driving. We also have laws for firearms. We also have laws to ensure safety and security. So this is a new thing that's coming up. We need to consider policy making and laws for these new software related
Yes, I
safety
absolutely agree
issues.
with you. I don't think
And
100%
anyone under the
agree.
age of 18 should
and
have any type of
yes,
social media
yes.
If
So
account.
I
I
agree with
we
that.
don't let eighth graders or sixth grader drive a car. We don't let them own a firearm. So same way, we should consider these harmful effects and then develop laws and policies and multi-pronged approach. Yes, treat them like teach the page like all the parents, increase social awareness. Yes, all of that plus the laws because we have laws for everything else.
So
And
there are a few points to raise here. We're talking about this in the way that we are because this is very likely, you know, a psyop attack, one or more psyops attacks from one or more hostile entities, state actors or their proxies, and what they're exploiting is, the notion of defying authority, and they are, causing kids to do things that are going to harm society and ultimately harm them and potentially ruin their lives by creating criminal records and tracking them into a system that's hard to get out of. Once you're profiled with one expulsion, it can be a problem for you in your future education, and that can track you into a different pathway in life that has a lot of problems associated with it. So there are a lot of things that have to be done about this, but one that hasn't been raised is basically counter memes to convey the idea that you're not defying authority, you're being pwned by some really bad people, in the same way that we clue children in to how to notice they're being groomed, or when people have not so good intent towards them.
So there's
And that's why we have to call it. That's why we have to call it what it is. Like we got to tell little kids. I don't have a problem telling my little kids, hey, once we have some proof there, where it's coming from exactly, like it's coming from these IP. Hey, listen, there's some people over there causing these social media campaigns to come over here and cause those kids around you to act that way.
Well,
Remember those.
I can't
this is Alex speaking, and
understand.
I live in
I can't.
Houston, and we are suffering right now in a sense, and seeing that in person recently from the Astroworld tragedy. We have kids that learned that were kind of groomed to, like, okay, when I go to this certain artist concert, to act rambunctious and break through
right.
security and break through fencing and all that stuff, and all that has an influence for sure.
But I can't sit down as a parent and wait for proof and laws and policies. Who gave my child the phone? I did. I'm the primary source. Just like when you talk about primary education, it starts in the home. So if I was the one who put the phone in my child's hand, I am responsible for monitoring that piece of thing. Separate and
Exactly.
aside from that, almost every website out there, include all of the social medias, have their policies in place. And a policy that says you need to be 18 years old is not going to stop a child. You see it all the time. Children, they just fake their age and they make a profile anyway. So you can't say,
Right.
oh, we need
And
laws
sir,
and policies in place. Laws and policies don't raise your children. You do.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
sir, William, I have a question. So after the kids, you said some of them are or even arrested. So after that, do they think what they did was bad, or they are just regret they were caught? I think that's a very important thing.
That's a very good
You know,
question.
Good
it
question.
goes back to how the child is raised and how the parent responds. Yes, for the most part, after they're talked to and counseled, they understand what they did was wrong. But you still have some kids that, unfortunately, the parents are like, "Well, you need to stop doing this. This is going to get you and me in trouble. This is going to cause problems for our family." So you have different perspectives of it. And I understand and I appreciate what y'all are saying about parents being parents and taking control and making the effort to do what's right. But still, unfortunately, you're still going to have those parents that just do not see the big picture. And that phone is just a distraction for their children so that they're not engaged as parents as they should be, and that's just a fact.
Yeah, I
So you're
wanted.
always going to
So
have
we agree.
Hold
I
on,
agree with all
Howard.
that.
Hang
Here's
on a
the
second.
Hold
question.
on, hold on, hold on,
Exactly.
Hang on a
Maya.
second.
Hold on.
Mr. Jackson,
yes, sir.
I just want to emphasize how much I appreciate you as a former school teacher myself in LA Unified School District, most notably at Dorsey High School, where our friend LS went to school, apparently, um, and where a good percentage of my male students wear ankle bracelets every day to school
Right.
and have court cases regularly. So if you think that their parents are going to give any care at all about their phone habits, you are living on a crazy planet, my friend. And that's great that you care about your child. You are a wild, fringe, freak minority. You understand? That does not scale. We're talking hundreds, tens of millions of students. You are a freak 0.0111% of parents who give a shit. You understand?
So
That
I'm
does not,
hearing
you and your amazing
education.
parental skills do not scale and do not address this problem.
I had to
And
learn
I
that
have a
the hard
Alex,
way.
I
7-year-old,
appreciate that you actually said
and I
that
have a 7-year-old
because,
daughter.
yeah,
By
it's.
the way, I have a 7-year-old daughter, and I build these things, so I understand at some point. I can even track down the conversations if you want to get into the scrum process. And in that point, there's communication going down. Okay, and I really want to know this question. It's just burning inside of me. Right? Okay, what should the law be? Right, for you have individuals that weaponize social media to cause and it results in havoc, and you can prove intent. If a situation filled that category there, what what should be the laws around that? I'm just
They
curious.
they
That's a good
should be
question.
they should be stopped, but it can't be just the United States. It has to be global. Um, Other governments are going to have to get involved because if the content is coming outside the United States, then it needs to be, like I was saying, either blocked or some kind of legal policies in place between governments, partnerships to stop it. The people that are actually doing it, if it comes to it, arrest them, detain them, or whatever needs to be done. Because the way it is now, we're looking at 2021. We have so many years to come in this technology. Now we're talking about what the metaverse and everything else. Kids are really into it. They're not going to stop. They're going to try to figure out ways to follow, you know, people that are not doing the good things or right things all the time. So legally, and we're going to be pushed to that point globally that legally it's going to take, Congress and other people going to have to really take action because unfortunately, all it takes is a couple of kids being killed, seriously maimed, and the numbers going up. Then everybody starts to want to jump on it. I'm so appreciative when I hear y'all every day when I can talking and speaking about some of these issues that y'all are proactive. And hopefully, the people that are tuning in, listening to y'all talk, they take action on their part as well. So, thank you very
Yes,
much.
sir. That's really my concern. What's coming next?
Well,
It's progressive,
so
it's
check this out.
increasing. So what's coming next?
Yes,
When they start killing each other, that's when we'll wake
Aaron,
up.
this is the great segue. So Alex raised the phrase the fire challenge. I personally had never heard of the fire challenge, and he referred to YouTube fire challenge. So I Googled the phrase YouTube fire challenge. The first result is teen hurt during TikTok fire challenge, dated May 31st this year. So about 4 months ago. TikTok fire challenge, student injured. The next second link is TikTok fire challenge attempts TikTok fire challenge attempt leaves girl, 13-year-old, hospitalized in the ICU. An Oregon family believes it was a TikTok fire challenge video that is behind why their 13-year-old is now in the intensive care unit. Also in this recent summer of 2021. The next one is mother sends warning about fire challenge about her son. And there's another one, a 12-year-old girl seriously burned during fire challenge. The first two links are about the TikTok fire challenge this summer. The third and fourth link are from 2019 and 2018, which I assume is not TikTok because TikTok wasn't really popular 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So I imagine that was the YouTube fire challenge, which was not on my radar back then in 2018, 2019. I'm amazed that I've not heard of this one that happened this summer, the fire challenge where there's a 13-year-old girl in an ICU. Um, it's very worrying trends here. So I want to get on. Yes,
Weren't Tide Pods on YouTube mainly?
huh?
Wherever they are, I was talking about this health cost as well, because that mono challenge brought so many patients because they were all spreading the mono around just for fun.
Okay, so the next article is actually potentially related to all of this. And it's actually written by a friend of mine, Mark Scott at Politico, who is based out of London. He used to be a tech writer for the New York Times. He's now a tech writer for Politico, and I knew him even before he was at the New York Times. And I've known he attends, joins my events in Europe. And so this article from today says uh, a look at the relationship between the Facebook whistleblower Frances Haugen and the anti-tech lobby group called Reset, which has guided her European tour. The former Facebook data scientist worked with an anti-tech lobby firm to make her case to European lawmakers, by Mark Scott and Laura Cavalli. As soon as Frances Haugen landed in Europe, she was given the VIP treatment. She met senior officials in Paris, Berlin, and London. She testified to lawmakers in Brussels. She rubbed shoulders with celebrities in Lisbon. She hasn't done it alone. As the former Facebook data scientist prepares to return to Puerto Rico, her sun-drenched home since leaving the tech giant, a well-funded lobbying operation run by a former aide to Hillary Clinton has opened doors across the European Union, aiding Haugen's mission to persuade the bloc's lawmakers to pass sweeping legislation to crack down on social media. The professional whistleblower tour has proven successful. European lawmakers have applauded her at multiple hearings, and she has met with the likes of Germany's Federal Justice Minister, British Home Secretary Priti Patel, and Cedric France's digital minister, those eager for the EU's upcoming content rules to go further in curtailing the likes of Facebook, have latched onto her insider knowledge, urging for even more changes, including limits on how digital ads can target people online. But Haugen's relationship with Reset, an anti-tech lobbying shop, which operates across the EU, UK, US, and Australia, also raises concerns about who is driving her push to rewrite Europe's online content rules. Proposals that will likely steer the global debate over how social media giants should be held more responsible for users' online actions. For Ben Scott, Reset founder and an outside technology advisor to Clinton's failed 2016 US presidential campaign, there is no conspiracy in his group's help there's no conspiracy in his group's help in guiding Haugen through the complex world of European policymaking. His operation receives up to $10 million in annual funding from the philanthropic organization called Luminate, a nonprofit group established by eBay founder Pierre Omidyar, and the Sandler Foundation, a US-based donor supporting the likes of the American Civil Liberties Union and media outlet ProPublica. His team has spent the last 18 months lobbying EU officials to impose outside oversight on social media companies' opaque operations. So when the Facebook whistleblower came forward with reams of internal documents in the late summer, her message chimed with Reset's own aims, including internal planning, expecting scores of former big tech employees to go public with concerns on how these firms were potentially harming people's online experiences. Here's a quote. My initial reaction to these documents was that they needed to be seen, understood, and acted upon, Scott told Politico during a recent trip to Brussels, where his team had helped to arrange a meeting between international lawmakers, including those from Europe and the US, to discuss online misinformation. Unsurprisingly, Haugen met with the lawmakers. Another quote, as an American whistleblower from an American company, it was natural for her to first talk to American officials, she said, or he said, who said Scott, who is based in Europe along with the majority of his 7-person team, but she knows that Europe is where the rules are coming from. She knows that here is where the action is. So it seems like he's being a bit of a Svengali, and he's been working to rein in big tech, and it leads curious minds to wonder what his what sort of powers might be behind him. And Mark Scott from Politico says it's Pierre Omidyar, who is the eBay founder, and an organization called Luminate, which I've never heard of. I'm very familiar with Pierre Omidyar, the founder of eBay, and it would be interesting if somebody could do an interview or you could even Google Pierre Omidyar in Facebook and to see maybe there might be some quotes available online as to that might reveal how Pierre Omidyar feels about social media or Facebook in particular.
Tyler, I'm thinking
Yeah,
be willing to give out the data and information on the patient population that arrived in response to these TikTok trends, collecting that data, collecting the damage that was caused in the schools, collecting that data monetarily, the money point and the numbers and the health concerns, the psychological impact, and the visits that were paid to psychologists and psychiatrists, collecting this multi-directional data all together, putting the study together to prove the damaging impact of TikTok on the meta scale on in the U.S. population, pediatric, not pediatric, but the adolescent, would be a great, I think, way to prove the damage that's done by this app.
I would love to see a
I,
documentary film about it.
I could start a study. I mean, I'm not doing my clinical studies
I want,
anymore,
I want,
but
I
I
want, I
could.
want to reach out to Michael Moore. I would love to see a Michael Moore movie on TikTok in U.S. schools.
That would be great. Yes, that would raise awareness.
oh, that
Actually,
would be
yeah.
very interesting.
I would change the phrasing from just TikTok, just social media trends, because
Yes, that's what I mean. Sorry, I
yeah.
apologize. I keep on
Oh,
saying
no,
that,
no
but I
worries.
mean the trends that are detrimental to physical, emotional, and psychological health and
Well,
property. Yes.
let's do our own little study here. Did Mr. Jackson depart the stage, or is he Mr. Jackson? If we could ask
Yes,
you
sir.
your much respected opinion here, sir. Um, to if could you give us in a pie chart what percentage would you attribute your do you feel the different social media platforms are of concern from your experience? Uh, like X percent would you assign to TikTok? X percent would you assign to Instagram or Snapchat or Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, etc.?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's see. I'll start with TikTok, the most recent one. I would say that 40% of the issues that we have start with TikTok. Um, I would say under that would be Snapchat. Under that would be YouTube, and then the rest would be, a little insignificant. I shouldn't say insignificant, but not as significant. Maybe Facebook, because the kids now like Facebook is for old people, but TikTok, for the most part, I would say contributes 40% of the discipline issues in schools, and then below that would be Snapchat and Facebook, because just the access alone. Did that answer your
Yeah,
question,
it
Tyler?
perfectly answers my question. Yeah,
Okay.
thank
All right.
you.
And
Yeah.
the
So
other
at
the
the
other thing when
So,
y'all talk
sir,
about the
is it
studies,
possible to make a point or a data collection where all the teachers report these trends in numbers, how many students have been involved in, so we can have a point where all the data is collected by all the teachers that would give us some numbers, and then we can do the same for the hospital and same for other points where these damages are happening.
well,
hey, you
actually,
want?
I
Let me
work
show you
in
the sharp
Duval County
contrast.
Public Schools, and that data is public record. So if
Oh, there
someone
is
wants to
data like
request it,
that?
there is data. Well, it's
How
discipline
do I
data,
access?
and it depends on their applied numbers. So the level of the offense has a number associated. So in my school district, Duval County Public Schools, in our student code of conduct, each conduct, if you do something inappropriate, it's applied a number to it, because that's a level of whether you get parent counseling, whether you get suspended from school, out of school, in school. There's other areas that, to keep the kids in school, but there's different levels that are addressed. But all of that information, usually for public schools, can be accessed by requesting it from the school district. Now, they may not readily want to release it, but that is information that's available to be the discipline information is available.
Oh, wow.
Is it
So
is
we
it is it
already
okay if
have
I
the
describe?
data. All we have to do is gather the data and then evaluate from there onwards to prove the point that what percentage of these disruptions in the students' behavior were related to these apps. That's a great resource. Thank
That's
you.
where it
I
would
would
get
like.
wonky, Erin, because I
Mhm.
think, at least for Massachusetts, the disaggregated data wouldn't show by social media. So I think there would be a need to do yet another survey that sort of focuses on social media for what you're looking for, just to satisfy those points a bit more thoroughly.
That's why I
So let,
initiated
let me
that
show
the
this.
teachers need to respond, maybe a report or something connecting that, oh, this was TikTok related. And all the teachers can gather that information at one point where we can see the numbers. Yeah, that's something I'm thinking about. Thank you.
Yeah,
And then
here's
we got
what's
to
interesting.
think about. I'm sorry. You can go.
Just let me give them the stark contrast. It's going to be so much easier to go online and create an attack, right? Get the tools you need right away. You got some clips, you got some fake accounts, you got some processes there. You figured out, right? But using A/B testing, you could use AI to basically track back from the point that the kid was basically messed. Did the occurrence, track back exactly what they posted when they posted, all the different connections that are related to that, and you can have a nice map right there in front of you of how to deploy these attacks right out there on people. Like
Here's my thought real quick is
it's
that
really easy to do that, but it's hard to go get a study of who's doing that and like at what scale. But it is meta. It's at scale. Like to show you the scale that we're talking about, we're talking about the entire education school system can be attacked by some fake accounts and some code. And imagine a nuclear bomb going off of that stuff, where it's like they hold it, they figure out which attacks work,
Meher, that point has been made. Why are you
like
repeating
deploy
that?
it,
We
boom,
are
and
trying to.
all of our kids are going out
We
doing some
got you,
crazy
Meher.
shit, right?
We got it.
Meher, we got that point. Now we are
and
moving forward to a solution. What can we do to prove so that people have this concrete evidence so we can take actions? That's where we are at. We
Yep.
and hopefully on that point that we can actually take it seriously because, okay, for example, I mean, using data, right? Uh, documentaries like Super Size Me came out
hmm
about the harms of fast food and especially McDonald's, and I still
Yeah.
see McDonald's is packed as ever. The Social Dilemma told all us the warnings of what the social media things are doing, and people are just like, well, that was a great movie, and now true, probably
Exactly.
people have taken that seriously, and some have, actually deactivated their things, but people are just still okay. That was nice.
So that brings
Um,
me to that point to use that data and then devise policies and pass laws. That's what is needed. Unless we make these things illegal, it's not going to make a dent.
Yeah, I
we
want to
have
take.
I think
Dr.
that's part of
Lisa,
it,
Yes,
but
who's an
Dr. Lisa.
educator.
Exactly.
Thank you. I really do appreciate your platform and bringing this topic up. I've been listening and wanting to say a couple of things, and I'll do my best to be brief because I am in traffic headed into Atlanta. I taught school for 17 years in the metro area of Atlanta. And let me just say that as far as the data, okay, the data is collected as to whether or not it's specific, as to it stemmed from a occurrence with TikTok. That I'm not exactly sure about for all districts. However, I do want to point out that most teachers are overwhelmed with collecting data for some things that aren't even related to instruction. So please, let's not assign this to any teacher to do in addition to all the instruction requirements that they are overwhelmed with. And I want to also keep in mind my second point, and that is, let's not blame all of the parents, because how many times has a teacher called home and that parent came to school and that student did a 360 degrees or 180 degree as far as their behavior. So many parents are doing the right things. It's just that something about school culture, something about how the bureaucracy is set up, that by third grade, most students have figured out that they can go to school and get away with things that they could never get away with while they were at home. So it's not necessarily a parent problem. I think many parents who are working more than one job are doing great things to raise their child as best that they can. But there's something going on, and I can't speak up for private school, but I will speak up for public school. And there's a lot of school culture that really nurtures to some degree behavior that's mediocre or below, something that's going on that is promoting this negative behavior. And so I'm going to turn my mic off. And thank you so much for letting me get those 2 points in
Sure.
today. Thank
I
you.
agree with you, Dr. Lisa. That was a great point. My personal experience here with the public school system proves that there are bureaucratic and other policies that needs to be changed.
Let's get into the next one. It's a survey from Pew Research, and talk about data that it doesn't get much more. It doesn't get much more high level than Pew Research, and they've done a survey about cryptocurrency. And this is a fantastic opportunity to play our favorite show here at Tech News. It's called Tech News Jeopardy, and we've got this handy dandy theme song. I think you'll dig it. It goes like this. So, what percentage of U.S. adults say they have invested in, traded, or used cryptocurrency?
40%.
30%.
18%.
5.
10%.
Whatever Messi
Wait a
says.
minute, Tyler. Didn't you
Yeah,
ask?
whatever Messi
Didn't you
says.
ask
Messi
this
always is
question
Whatever
last?
Messi says.
35 to
20,
40.
No,
23,
Tyler. Didn't you
23.
ask this question before?
Nope.
Oh, you asked
I
NFT
think it's
last
very
week,
low. I
right?
think it's
A
15%. One
similar
five.
similar question, Bill.
30.
No,
12.
I would
40%.
say 40. Yeah,
You
40.
see,
20,
I'm with
23,
Messi. I'm with
I,
Messi.
23,
I said 40.
23.
Ken wins it, 16%
Oh,
Oh, I
Oh,
said
oh my
18, darn it.
of
And
U.S.
you want to know how I knew that, by the way?
because
It
you.
was an interpolation. Less, only maybe half of the people in the country don't even own stocks. So a lower percentage are going to have traded crypto. It was just intuitive.
I got a back channel message 10%. Whoever that was, you won.
Okay. The next article,
so what was the last time question? Was it NFT or something? You asked similar question last week, right?
yes, about
Yes,
NFTs. Yeah.
similar.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And the next one is Instagram appears to be working on a new feature that lets live creators. Hello, do I get prediction points yet again today?
Yes, Tyler.
So Instagram appears to be working on a new feature that lets live creators add moderators to their streams. And you might be asking, why would they do that? I will tell you, it fits perfectly with my prediction that Instagram eventually will become a live streaming shopping site, just like Pinduoduo in China. And to do that, you need one person as the talent in front of the camera, and you need a moderator behind the camera. And that's why this fits very nicely with my prediction that Instagram's not so slowly transitioning itself from a photo sharing app where influencers fight for clicks and hearts and likes, and is transitioning themselves into a live streaming, shopping, social commerce app, which would require moderators to cooperate with your live stream on your account. So Instagram might soon let you add moderators to your live streaming videos. Exactly. As you will.
Hey, Tyler.
Yeah.
So you are correct that they are moving towards live video sales of product
Yep.
because the other day I was in the back of my client's Facebook and they got a notification that they were being invited to try out the online shopping feature if we went live. And I was like, not another change. But yeah, that's been popping up and they're slowly rolling it out very slowly to different pages and creators. So you are right on the money, sir.
Yes. Well, I've been right on that one since we started Tech News back in March. I said it was coming.
Yes.
So the next one is, and make no mistake, that's just part of the prediction. The second half of that prediction is that it will also come to Twitter, TikTok, Pinterest, Tinder. I even said Tinder, and it is coming to Tinder. We've even seen the
Oh my God.
headlines that it's even coming to Tinder. So The next,
Tyler, you are from future.
well,
Tyler, just give me the lottery number now and I'll
Yeah,
be fine.
that's what we're not.
Messi and I are going to make a killing here eventually, but we got to put our talents together, Messi. We're like the X-Men of predictions. So
Future
Yeah,
predictions.
Tyler
Yes.
prediction. Tyler Messi predictions.
yeah, we can do it. We can make our own consultancy.
Professor Xavier and Jean Grey. Look at them.
Yes, she's Jean.
I like that. Jean Grey is so appropriate.
Okay, so the next one is from our friend Lucas Shaw at Bloomberg, who covers Netflix, as you recall. And he has an article today that says streamers, meaning Netflix and Disney Plus and that genre, streamers are seeking out unscripted TV, including documentaries and reality TV, as a cheaper and popular alternative to the prestige shows they first produced, because they're far cheaper to produce and far faster to produce. And people like to watch that stuff, so that's not much of a surprise at all. The next one is Turkish delivery startup Getter, which promises 10-minute grocery deliveries, launches in Chicago and plans to roll out in New York City and Boston next month. Chile-based Home, which uses AI to help users find the optimal rental or sale price of a property based on similar properties nearby, raises $35 million. Autonomous driving startup Embark Trucks closes at $8.80 per share in its NASDAQ debut. Meta made over 21 acquisitions in the past 3 years, including at least 4 VR startups this year. Sources say it paid $500 million for its most recent VR startup, called Within. And the US joins a global cybersecurity partnership with 80 countries and companies like Google and Microsoft to fight back against cybersecurity threats from some of those countries who aren't part of the 80. I'll let you use your wild imagination. Who who isn't involved in the 80 country partnership? So, and there's a few tweets. Let's see. So, Ursula von der Leyen, who's a bigwig at the EU, says we need to reclaim the internet as a force for good. I'm glad to announce that the EU is joining the call for trust and security in cyberspace. And she says, "Dear VP Harris, I'm happy to see the US is on board too." Yeah, and it's the usual. It's all the G7 minus. Yeah, I think you know who's not part of it. Anyway, the next one is that Miami Mayor Francis Suarez says that Miami will give residents a Bitcoin yield from staking Miami coin, as they continue to ratchet up the buzz around Miami as the crypto hub of the United States. And Patreon CEO says that Patreon is building a native video hosting platform, which would reduce Patreon creators' reliance on YouTube to share their videos, which is kind of a brilliant addition for Patreon. And that covers your big boring headlines for today. Now we get into the tweets, but before we get into the tweets, let me refresh just to see if anything new came in while we were debating about schools. Here's one that just came in from the Financial Times. In an internal memo, Andrew Bosworth, the head of Oculus at Facebook, says he wants the metaverse to have, quote unquote, almost Disney levels of safety, but that moderation at scale is practically impossible. And he's absolutely right about that. It's not practically impossible. It's very literally impossible to moderate everybody on the internet. And Facebook knows that better than anyone because they have more users than anyone. With 3.5 billion users, you cannot moderate even Ethiopia with 85 languages. Messi, can you please remind me? Is it 85 or how many languages in Ethiopia?
Well, I mean, you could
82, 82.
82.
you could
You could moderate everyone,
Yes.
but you would have a latency of like 3 days before anything
Alex,
posted.
I think someone's speaking.
So
I'm so sorry.
fair enough. It is
Yes.
it's possible you could have one moderator for every 10 people, and then that would be you would be employing 350 million people. That could work if everyone's willing to work for 5 cents a week. So
Well, actually, there's a different way of doing this.
okay,
You make it part of the user experience, right?
yes,
And you make your customers part of the platform's methodology
yes,
of policing
the
itself.
Reddit approach, which I think is there. That's a great point, honestly, and I think that needs to be baked in. And that needs to be considered by people doing social media and the whole moderation concept. And Reddit seems to have a better handle on it than most places because of the up and down voting of every comment of every user. Um, so and a lot of stuff gets hidden. The moderation framework of Reddit is quite interesting to consider, and Facebook might be wise to, and Twitter as well might be wise to take notes from that. The what else do we have? Now we get into the tweets. Yep. Yes, we do. Okay. So the first one's from Dr. Fran, and we're back on TikTok, believe it or not. And it's from Wired. Wired just wrote a piece. The headline is "The Sneaky Way TikTok is Connecting You to Real Life Friends. The social network got huge by ignoring who you know. That's increasingly no longer the case." Unlike other social apps, TikTok didn't become a global success by connecting people with their friends and family. Its stated mission is to inspire creativity and build joy, a far cry from Facebook's goal of bring the world closer together. The app's central feature, the For You page algorithm, primarily recommends videos based on what users like, not whether they were uploaded by someone they know. But recently, it appears that's started to change. While TikTok to date has been an app where you could largely expect never to run into annoying uncles, ex-boyfriends, or coworkers, the platform is now making a greater effort to connect users to people they already have relationships with outside the platform. 8 TikTok users told Wired that over the past few months, the app has begun encouraging them to follow people from real life. It's also become a common complaint among TikTok faithful more broadly, raising privacy concerns about the tactics the app uses to establish who they know in the first place. Here's a quote: "The safety and privacy of our community is paramount, which is why we provide a range of privacy settings and opt-in features that empower people to customize their app experience to their own comfort and enjoyment." Alex, a 27-year-old living in Queens, says that one night earlier this year, she checked her TikTok notifications and was startled to realize that her father had followed her profile. She quickly blocked him. But the incident was unsettling because she often posts about being bisexual, something her father didn't know about her at the time. I'm just imagining if this was Facebook had outed somebody.
Well, here's the thing, Tyler.
Yeah.
TikTok is now asking you if you want to connect to Facebook to find people you know. And every day I hit no, no, no. I don't want my aunts and uncles and my mom to see me on TikTok, but it is prompting people to connect those contacts via Facebook and their phone. So they are like now, like, yeah, it's crazy. I don't even understand why TikTok is even doing
Yeah,
that with
They
TikTok
are
did
Facebook.
that to me.
expanding their reach.
It tried to connect to my contacts, my WhatsApp and my Facebook and Instagram all in one go, and I was like, no. So yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised they will start influencing adults as well as they are progressing and learning more.
Hmm.
That's scary.
I'm gonna have to delete my wife's TikTok account before she burns the house down.
Yes, of
Because
course.
like
Oh my God.
because when
Is
TikTok
that the
you know
burn your own
research
house down challenge?
Exactly.
Yes, or or add poison to your husband's food or something. Who knows? Sorry.
Imagine.
You want to know something funny, guys? You want to know something funny?
The data is there.
So
And
we're originally from Jamaica, right? And there's this guy, a reggae artist. He put out a song called "Poison Him." So a lot of Jamaican women started going on TikTok, making all these, little concoctions to the song, but everyone is doing it in reverse, saying, they tasted it after the fact and they poisoned themselves. But funny enough, the prime minister of the country actually put out a tweet. It was a long time ago. When it started happening, he said, ladies, I understand that he might be causing you a problem, but please don't poison him.
This is why TikTok is dangerous. What was that recipe, by the way?
Yeah, well,
I need the recipe for my superiors, at
Just
work,
asking
in
for a
their
friend.
tea and coffee. Whoever asks me for a coffee one more time in the OR, I'm going to do that. Yes.
It's called Gatorade with windshield wiper fluid. It's delicious.
Jesus Christ.
Brian got me a variation.
Clips are on,
Boric
Joe.
acid.
So,
Is it TikTok that's dangerous or stupidity? I wonder.
Combination of both.
Combination of the two.
Combination of both.
the next
I'm with Aram.
the next article is from our friend Ken from the Wall Street Journal. The headline says, when the Travis Scott concert stopped, the social media... wait, where did it go? Oh, Wall Street Journal, what are you doing? Here we go. When the Travis Scott... Oh, okay, hold on. When the Travis Scott concert stopped, the social media posts and conspiracy theories were just beginning. Now, mind you, the Wall Street Journal in recent weeks has exposed itself as no longer being in the business of journalism when it comes to covering Facebook. They're absolute wild jihadist activists on all things Facebook. So take this with a grain of salt. So it says proliferation of graphic or questionable content on people's feeds puts a spotlight on how social media companies police their platforms. And
But Tyler, I don't think it was just Facebook. 'Cause I did send you an article. I don't know if it's that one.
yep,
Very similar, but how many views there have been on that concert, and it was like billions. I'm assuming some of them are on YouTube as well, not just
sure.
Facebook.
Yeah, here it goes. This article is mostly about TikTok now that I look at it. It says, and let's see how the Wall Street Journal covers TikTok. This will be very interesting to see. The aftermath of the Astro World Festival incident that left 9 people dead in Houston last week is raising concerns about how footage and misinformation related to the event is being circulated on social media. Videos showing people being crushed and unconscious circulated on TikTok, Twitter, and other platforms. The quote-unquote Travis Scott concert was one of the most searched terms on Google on Saturday, the day after the incident, according to Google Trends data. On TikTok, videos using the hashtag Astroworld had about 2.4 billion views as of Thursday. And more than 400,000 tweets have mentioned either Travis Scott or the festival by name since the event on November 5, according to an analysis by Storyful, a social media research firm which is owned by News Corp, the parent company of the Wall Street Journal. Conspiracy theorists, including that the concert was part of a satanic ritual, also became prevalent. Tweets mentioning Satanism more than tripled from November 7 to November 9 compared with the 3-day period beforehand, according to analysis. The proliferation of graphic or questionable content on people's feeds puts the spotlight on how social media companies police their platforms. These companies have invested heavily in AI systems designed to detect problematic content and have hired thousands of moderators to review content. But it is often difficult to administer which videos cross the line, adding to the complexity these companies face. At the same time, social media algorithms generally reward content that has been viewed, liked, or shared many times, allowing content to go viral. They present content on topics to users based on biographical data as well as previous content they have consumed and interacted with on the platform. Therefore, extreme or divisive content often becomes amplified, regardless of its validity, says Scott Campbell, a telecommunications professor at the University of Michigan. Quote, extremity carries capital, he says. It's what gets clicks, shares, and comments. And regulated content, whether that's misinformation or graphic images, often presents a practical challenge. Quote, the social media gatekeepers can't totally weed it out. It's impossible, he said. Unfiltered content from tragic events can have significant psychological consequences, on users and people featured in the content. A University of California study published after the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing found that media exposure can trigger acute stress following the traumatic event. Quote, we're getting a deeper taste into what kind of trauma can be captured and shared, and this incident is an example of that and how psychologically shattering it can be for some people. Social media companies say they are monitoring the situation, and posts or videos that violate policies around graphic content have been removed. A TikTok spokeswoman said conspiracies surrounding the Astroworld Festival are in violation of the social media platform's community guidelines and will be removed. Several videos promoting conspiracy theories, some with hundreds of thousands of views, were available to view Thursday. A TikTok representative didn't respond to requests for comment regarding those videos. YouTube, a unit of Google, hasn't found videos related to Astroworld Festival that violate its policies, a spokesman said on Thursday, but the company continues to monitor the situation. YouTube policies prohibit footage of corpses or blood with the intent to shock or disgust viewers. Quote, as we do during evolving news events, our systems are prominently surfacing videos from authoritative news sources in search and recommendations and limiting the spread of borderline content, the spokesperson said. He said that the platform was displaying news and surfacing fact-checking information about Astroworld around its videos. A Twitter spokesperson said the platform takes enforcement action against content that violates the platform's media policy, which could include placing tweets behind a sensitive media notice. The spokesperson also said Twitter may remove or label misinformation that violates its policies. Quote, labeled tweets have limited visibility across search, replies, and on timelines, and these tweets aren't recommended algorithmically by Twitter. A spokesperson for Facebook didn't respond to questions pertaining to content from Astroworld. She said the platform removes videos and photos that show the violent death of somebody when a family member requests their removal. The social media company's policies call for the removal of content that glorifies violence or celebrates the suffering of others. Quote, we allow graphic content with some limitations to help people raise awareness about these issues. We add a warning label to especially graphic or violent content so that it's not available to people under the age of 18 and so people are aware of the graphic or violent nature before they click to see it.
And so, Tyler, knowing a lot about what happened at that concert and being in a lot of not only clubhouse rooms, a lot of discussion groups about this and everything, this is less of an issue about social media. It's just kind of unfortunately the perfect storm. And maybe social media certainly amplified some of the stuff, but like some of the stuff with the occult that came up because apparently Travis Scott has actually used occult symbols and objects in his marketing and stuff like that. So it wasn't just coming out of the air from some third party sowing, trying to sow discontent. So it was just, and with any of these types of tragedies, there's all sorts of speculation. Who's gonna, who do you want to blame? Do you want to blame the performer? Do you want to blame Live Nation? Do you want to blame the cops? Do you want to blame? And these issues would have come up anyway. They just get amplified because of social media. And I'm done speaking.
Sure. Next one from our friend Evan, and it says the world's biggest industrial robot uses lasers to take paint off of airplanes. It's twice as fast as as a team of people.
Thing is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, people think of robots as these cuddly little, things in your home, but I mean, the robotics everywhere, every size, shape, form, scale. It's amazing.
And precision, right? Because they can do it so well, much better than humans.
Yeah.
You know what you can else do is supply chain data. Like if you supply the whole world with all of their goods and you have harmonized code for every single product and goods and you run that through an AI, you could find some choke points and basically like restrict just certain few narrow pieces of supply and cause like, I don't know, global supply chain chaos.
Yep. The next one's also from Evan, that Booking.com was reportedly hacked by a U.S. intelligence agency, but never told customers. From Ars Technica.
Wait, hacked by the
Yes,
U.S. intelligence
that's
agency?
what it says. Data involving Middle Eastern countries stolen by man working for unknown U.S. agency. A hacker
Does
working...
the agency have 3 letters or?
That's a safe bet. A hacker working for a U.S. intelligence agency breached the servers of Booking.com in 2016 and stole user data related to the Middle East, according to a book published Thursday. The book also says the online travel agency Booking.com opted to keep the incident secret. Amsterdam-based Booking.com made the decision after calling in the Dutch intelligence service, known as AIVD, to investigate the data breach. On the advice of legal counsel, the company didn't notify affected customers or the Dutch Data Protection Authority, the grounds being that Booking.com wasn't legally required to do so because no sensitive or financial information was accessed. IT specialists working for Booking.com told a different story, according to the book, which just came out. The English translation of the title is The Machine, Under the Spell of Booking.com. The book's authors, 3 journalists at the Dutch national newspaper, NRC, report that the internal name for the breach was the PIN leak, PIN leak, because the breach involved stolen pins from reservations. So when people make Booking.com reservations, as part of the email they get, they have a PIN code so that when they call in to speak to somebody, the representative will say, "Can you please tell me the PIN number for this reservation?" So the book also said that the person behind the hack accessed thousands of hotel reservations involving Middle Eastern countries, including Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. The data disclosed involved names of Booking.com customers and their travel plans. 2 months after the breach, U.S. private investigators helped Booking.com security departments determine that the hacker was an American who worked for a company that carried out assignments from U.S. intelligence services. The authors never determined which agency was behind the intrusion. Data related to hotels and travel has long been a highly sought-after commodity among hackers working for nation-states. In 2013, an NSA whistleblower revealed Royal Concierge, a program by spies from Britain's GCHQ that tracked bookings at 350 upscale hotels around the world. The spies used the data to identify the hotel where targets of interest were staying, so field operatives could then plant bugs in their rooms. So they know when you're arriving, and then they bug your room before you arrive. This is why intelligence agencies want to know your travel plans if they're tracking you, because when you leave your home, it's much harder to put bugs in your homes than it is in the hotel room that you're going to be checking into, for example. Because
There was a big breach by they believe by China Marriott a few years back that was basically believed to be after the same kind of data.
it's very easy to rent the room the night before the target checks in. So in 2014, Kaspersky Labs disclosed Dark Hotel, a years-long campaign that used hotel Wi-Fi networks to infect the devices of targeted guests. That's another way as well. You don't have to bug the room if you want to get into their devices. You could compromise the Wi-Fi, and then when they connect to the hotel Wi-Fi, it would compromise their device. The people behind Dark Hotel, likely working on behalf of a nation state, have shown a particular interest in political officials and global C-level executives. For its part, Booking.com said they had no legal requirement to disclose the breach in a statement the company officials wrote. There you go. And let me tweet that to the Twitter account. Thank you for that one, Evan. And then, Evan, you have another one about Hong Kong. Hong Kong jailed a former food delivery worker for 6 years for chanting a protest slogan. Authorities used the national security law, which I mentioned at the start of the show, I mentioned that in a meeting today, sorry. The man known as Captain America 2.0, because he wears a Captain America costume.
That's not a target.
Yeah, and China loves Captain America. So Hong Kong jails a man for nearly 6 years over chanting a slogan during the 2019 protests. And
Sounds like the beginning of the Incendiaries book.
well, I mean, if you're a Hong Konger, you grew up with freedom of speech, so it's a rather sensitive issue for the Hong Kongers. And then Evan found a post that's going a bit viral from a new tourism ad from Iceland, which pokes some good fun at Facebook and the metaverse. And the headline says Iceland skewers Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse with a new tourism ad, and it's because they have an actor who looks like Mark Zuckerberg with his face covered in white sunscreen, and he's pretending to enjoy Iceland as Icelandverse, as if like it's to make it more exciting, we'll call it the metaverse, but it's really just Iceland because it looks like it's a foreign imaginary landscape, as Iceland does appear at times. The Icelandverse is a world with possibilities so endless they'll be here forever, the narrator says. So join us today or tomorrow or whenever. We are really easygoing. And the next one is also from Evan, about more Apple drone patent applications have been spotted with apparent attempt at secrecy. More Apple drones. Who would be in for an Apple drone?
Hi, Tyler. We can see you. We can't hear you.
Tyler is visiting the future to collect more news.
Well,
In the cerebral.
That's how he does it.
did my
But he can only go 24 hours into the future. Then he has to
He's
come
Hold on,
back.
hold on.
definitely
Tyler,
still
can you speak?
talking without knowing that
Ah,
we're here.
okay, we can hear you.
Tyler's in
Okay.
future.
Let's
Oh,
continue.
he's
We
back.
lost you for like 1 minute.
Okay.
We said you went to the future
And
to collect
I was
news
I
and
was
bring it
thinking,
back to
Tyler,
us.
you went to
Yes.
the
In the
future to
cerebral.
collect the news.
So we read headlines recently about Zillow, who was buying lots of houses, and now they have to sell those houses at a loss. And the headline from PT Yoder in the audience says that Zillow rival Opendoor just scored a major win in the prop tech wars. Opendoor is hiring 30 engineers by the end of the year in the US and Canada to work on machine learning and other engineering roles. And I think a background story here that was missed by the journalists is Opendoor was the one who started buying homes and has done a very good job of it, and they continue to do a good job of it. Zillow tried to replicate them and was not able to, and it cost them money to they didn't have the right analysis, the right tools, and it didn't work in the same way that it works at Opendoor. So when Zillow announced, hey, we bought too many homes, we have 7,000 homes for sale at a loss, Opendoor said, well, hey, we're still, oh, and by the way, Zillow announced they're firing 20% of their team members. Opendoor says, it's working for us and we're hiring people. And the point is that Opendoor pioneered this methodology that Zillow tried to replicate and failed. And that was completely not covered in the articles about Zillow last week. But it is being, in a sense, still not being covered today. But the headline today says that Zillow rival Opendoor just scored a major win in the prop tech wars and is hiring 30 engineers by the end of the year, blah, blah, blah. But I just gave you more context than any journalist would. So the next one is...
Hold on. Just to comment on that story, I think when you're in a first mover market like that situation right there, often the leader can do something very clever where they can almost kind of pepper the battlefield with a few mines. And I think if somebody is emulating your algorithm and they don't necessarily understand how the system works, or you have a more fundamental understanding, then you can exploit their weaknesses to your advantage. And I think we see that with adversarial deep learning networks where you put on a funky pair of glasses and all of a sudden the computer thinks you're Tom Cruise. Similarly here, I think there was a lot of information type warfare because it is a rather large market. So that's my suspicion about what went down.
Okay. The next one is... There's a bunch. Sudamini sends in this one from Haaretz from Israel. And the headline says that Palestinians say that Israeli NSO spyware, Pegasus, has been found on 3 senior officials' phones, which that's hardly newsworthy. I think we just assumed that every Palestinian has Pegasus on their phones. The next one is that from this is a kind of a Jeremy Clarkson from England um, has a very interesting quote in the Times UK today, saying if Greta Thunberg, as is the English Swedish pronunciation of how Swedes don't call her Greta Thunberg, we pronounce it Thunberg. So the American accent of Thunberg is Thunberg. So he says if Greta and her pals really want to get results, they should try protesting in Tiananmen Square, which is
Ouch.
exactly
Burn!
that's a humdinger of a quote. Yeah. Um,
That's crazy. Jeremy Clarkson is wow.
yeah, they'll definitely get results. They'll definitely get some news coverage.
That's savage.
Yeah. The May found an article that says,
Tyler, she'll have to first win the Nobel Peace Prize before she could do that.
yeah,
Am I sick for laughing at that joke, or is it like
yeah,
funny?
there's some it's,
No, it's hilarious.
that's
It's
some
sad,
dark
but
humor.
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
That's the joke of Friday.
the May found an interesting headline that says depressing new report finds that women artists account for just 16% of NFT sales over the past 21 months. And she says another reason why I stand for education of more women in the space. And Eric,
Wasn't there was this big thing with this women in NFTs Discord, right? And damn, I forgot the name of the guy that, but they kind of ousted him for having a whitelist Discord or something like that. I need to find the article. Give me a sec.
Well, if anybody wants to add to that percentage, everybody can buy my NFT. Thank
Hell yeah.
there you go. That's how, that making lemons out of lemonades there. The Eric, you have this one from thegamer.com. I quit the game immediately.
Yeah. This one was. So I didn't even understand what so there's if you can post it to the top. I don't remember what the actual term was, but there's a key word that they use to refer to a transgender person's original name, and this Xbox game was using that name to refer to people even though they had changed their username or whatever, and it used it in the game as part of the gameplay experience where the computer would actually, or the game would actually say your name. And so these people, obviously, because it's a very tense and personal issue, it's a sensitive topic. The game developers, I guess, were a little bit too ambitious and thought, hey, we'll just use this pointer right here to this data set. And it turned out that it actually had a toxic effect because a lot of people, if they have that kind of experience, that most transgender people have had in the last 20 years, it's oftentimes a very tragic and traumatizing one. And so they had this very strong reaction to not even want to go back to the game because it betrayed this kind of weird thing that I didn't even think of originally, but how is quite important and very relevant. So
It's
that's the
called
story.
dead naming, and yeah, it's a rather serious issue in the trans community, and rather people wouldn't assume this would happen in a video game. There's a quote that says, "I was shocked. Um, I enjoyed the intro sequence and was having a lot of fun, but hearing the announcer call my dead name completely blindsided me. I quit the game immediately and was close to just refunding it on, getting their money back." Um, it's just a tip for developers of all kinds. We're just about user data and using it in ways that might surprise users, unanticipated reactions and things. Then the next one is from Lucast in the audience from NPR about the London Thames River that flows right through the center of London was once biologically dead and has been coming back. Oxygen levels necessary for fish are up and dangerous phosphorus levels are down in the historically polluted waterway. And
Hell yeah.
yeah,
So, Tyler, for somebody as worldly as you, to call the River Thames.
you. I like this article.
Yeah, shout
Yeah,
out to the
just as a
Thames.
side note, we all come from lava, right? Fundamentally, this planet was volcanic at the beginning, and then over time, geochemistry became organic chemistry, and now here we are in Clubhouse. It's kind of magical that life tends to reset in this weird way. It's beautiful when you see it happen, so it's nice to see an area be rejuvenated.
We all come from stardust, really.
Yes,
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 we are
the
all
pretense is the one.
aliens.
We're all from one source.
We are all aliens.
So the next one is about Starlink's new rectangular satellite broadband dish is smaller and lighter, and more aesthetically pleasing as well. Starlink has introduced a new user terminal customers can get with their starter kit. The company now offers a rectangular option instead of the circular option that's smaller and lighter than the original circular one. Users have to install that antenna on their rooftop or anywhere high up with a clear view of the sky to be able to access its satellite internet. The original version is a standard dish that's 23 inches wide. The rectangular version is only 12 inches wide, 19 inches long. It's also only 9 pounds, which is almost half the weight of the circular one. The new terminal's smaller form factor could give users more options when it comes to potential locations where they can install it. In addition, the rectangular terminal comes with more accessory options, including a long pole users can simply stick in the ground, so they don't have to mount it anywhere. And there you go.
Hey, Tyler,
Wait,
can I ask you because
so
I joined. Go ahead.
let's go big. Just a quick
Whoever
question.
was going to speak, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Give me one second. I got a question. Like, this is probably to me the most important point. Probably. There you go. You got satellites up in the sky. You get a box. You can connect to the global planet. How are those points from Earth up to the network going to be controlled? Or is it going to be open? Can anybody out there, I'm chilling in Kashmir right now. I'm literally in Kashmir on the India side, and there's tanks and guns all over the place, right? Can any Kashmiri person, excuse me, can they communicate, or are there is there a different type of human they don't
No, this
have the
this
right
is
to
a
communicate?
telecom network, so every jurisdiction and country has its own regulations. So Starlink, for example, in Russia is going to be banned, and you'll be fined a lot of money if you deploy Starlink. So it's no different than any other telecom network that will be highly regulated in each country.
Yeah, but see, so the person could be fined, right? But
Well, fined, you
as
can
long
be
as
fined and go
Starlink,
to
let's say,
jail. So yeah,
but if
you'll be
Starlink,
fined and thrown in prison. So put it that way.
I understand that, but if Starlink, the company, Elon, I'm very curious to see how he's going to play this out because, we're talking about Mars and all this other stuff. This affects us right now. What's going to be the rule on the network? Like, if you have a box, you can access it anywhere. That should be the rule. If you got a box, you can access the network, dude. We're not going to control, we're not going to make control points and log people and who's who and let people just, turn people off from the internet.
And
You know,
Starlink's going to be partnering with the carriers. Their game plan is to partner. Like in the U.S., we have Verizon. They're going to be partnering with Blue Origin to get rural broadband going. So he's about making money, and so partnering with the carriers is how he's going to make a ton of money.
yeah, we just need to really like focus on the access points, right? The access points to the metaverse, right? Where everybody has to go through this, right? The volume, the conduit. There's a few leverage points there, and they really we as a people should just talk about it. What are those access points? There's a few of them only, and what should be the rules around whoever's in charge of that?
So Tyler, what I was going to ask, and only apologize if you covered it. I don't think you did because I joined a little bit late. But I want to make sure you get to this because I think it's a really core issue in tech. Was one of the biggest articles in the Wall Street Journal today that VC funds, American VC funds, including um, the VC fund that Intel runs, have been helping finance semiconductor development, believe it or not, in China. And now the Biden administration is having a lot of concerns because obviously we're now finally concerned that we don't produce enough of our own semiconductors. And so I just wanted to mention that because I tweeted out like hours ago. I just wanted to make sure you got to that one because it goes right to the center of a core, core major tech issue. And I'm done speaking.
Keep,
Thanks.
share more about it if you would.
I'm in a car, so let me see if I can go pick up look at the article. But I tweeted that out from the Journal hours ago. Let me see if I can find it now on my own Twitter. Um, um, you don't have it?
Just give me the key words again of the headline.
Oh, the headline was U.S. venture capital firms and chip industry giants are putting money into China's semiconductor industry, alarming U.S. officials who want to close the regulatory gap. Because apparently there is certain restrictions. If it was, you get to dual use technology and stuff like that. But so that's the headline, and then now I've got the article, so I can actually start reading it
Okay,
for you if you want.
go ahead.
Okay. Um, It says Silicon Valley venture capital firms and chip industry giants are ramping up deals in China's semiconductor industry, alarming U.S. I already read that. Um, and it says U.S. firms and China affiliates, well, we said that, aiding Beijing's bid for chip sector dominance and complicating Washington's efforts to preserve America's leader in the critical technology, a Wall Street Journal investigation has found. U.S. venture capital firms, chip industry giants, and other private investors participated in 58 investment deals in China's semiconductor industry from 2017 through 2020, more than double the number from the prior 4 years, according to analysis of deals done by New York-based research firm Rhodium Group, done at the journal's request. Major chip company Intel Corp is among the active investors, backing a Chinese company now called Primarius Technologies, if I pronounce it right, which specializes in chip design tools that U.S. companies currently lead in making. A separate journal review of data from analytics from PitchBook Data Inc. shows beyond that of the China-based affiliates of Silicon Valley venture firms Sequoia Capital, Lightspeed Venture Partners, Matrix Partners. These are all your friends, Tyler, right?
Yep.
And Redpoint Ventures have made at least 67 investments in the Chinese sector company since the start of 2020. The journal found. Then they have a chart there, a bar chart. While the sums invested in many of the deals aren't disclosed, the investors participated in financing rounds that overall raised billions of dollars for China startups. The journal found. It's a long article. I don't know if you want me to read the whole thing. I mean, it's a very big article.
Yeah.
So, I
Well,
mean, that's. I mean,
is there a negative side to this though? Because I think it's positive for finding smart people regardless of where they live. If people have great ideas, let's make those ideas because I think the world benefits. However, with China, I thought there was a restriction on how much profits you're able or allowed to extract from the country. So I think that that's also maybe mentioned in the article. If not, it should be.
um, it's a it's a very long article. I mean, I stopped reading it because I didn't want to, consume all the time in this room. Um, um, I'm trying to find. There's nothing that mentions it. There's some sort of regulatory thing. Oh yeah, here's the thing. Washington. This is a kind of an important part of the story, I guess. White House National Security Council officials have met with aides to Senators Bob Casey and Senator John Cornyn, one's a Democrat, one's a Republican, who are sponsoring legislation that would screen outbound U.S. investments and the offshoring of critical supply chains and tech industry resources to adversaries like China and Russia, one aide said. The bill aims to scrutinize outbound investment currently not covered. This is a regulatory thing, not covered by export controls or the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S., an interagency panel that reviews deals with U.S. companies for national security concerns. For too long, corporate interests, this is a quote, and it's not part of the article. For too long, corporate interests have prioritized their bottom lines without regard to the broader American economy or national security, Senator Casey said in a statement. Um, And business groups, including the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the U.S. China Business Council, are lobbying against the Casey Cornyn bill, according to another congressional aide. A spokesperson for the U.S. China Business Council said that regulation of outbound capital flow is unprecedented in 250 years of American history, and that current export controls are sufficient to protect national security. The U.S. Chamber didn't respond to requests for comments. Um, Meanwhile, Beijing is turning to making more advanced chips, focusing on areas of the semiconductor supply chain where China is weak and the U.S. is dominant, such as electronic design automation, software EDA tools for designing and testing chips. In August 2020, China's State Council upgraded a set of financial incentives that highlight EDA software companies offering years of generous tax breaks. Again, I mean, I can go on and on. It's a very long. That's why I wanted to make sure we got to it, because it's one of the biggest articles in the Wall Street Journal today, and
Yeah,
it's
I've pinned it
obviously
on
dead
top.
center on to technology.
Okay. Well, that we're going to wrap it there here, and we will join again tomorrow. Oh, I need to fix the date, rather the time for the meeting tomorrow, because it'll be in this time
Yeah.
zone, not the other time zone. So I'll fix that. And happy Friday, everybody, and have a wonderful weekend. And we'll hopefully see you tomorrow or whenever suits you best. So thank you, everybody, for another Tech News Around the World.